Salutations, statistics supporters. This is a Stats MR here with another presentation to sleep through. Today we will stay in the north and discuss statistics related to tourism spending in Canada. During this presentation, I will discuss total tourism in Canadian dollars spent in each province or territory, the tourism spent by U.S. tourists in the province, tourist dollars spent by tourists from overseas, tourists are essentially non-U.S., then the percent of tourist dollars from overseas, i.e. non-U.S., and then finally the total tourist dollars spent per 1,000 residents for each province. The data I'm using starts in Q1 of 2018 and goes through Q1 of 2021. Alright, let's get into the data. So, we start off in this first table. It has the total tourist dollars by quarter and by province or territory. So we go down, go Newfoundland and Labrador, Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia, Yukon, Northwest Territories, and Nunavut. So, you see, in terms of total tourist dollars, you see Ontario and British Columbia consistently being leading the way. And then you also see that the amounts in Q2 and Q3 are greater than in Q1, which makes sense because winters in most of Canada can be severe. Except Vancouver. Vancouver's not that bad, but like I say, you go up into Saskatchewan and Manitoba, you can get severe winters. And then you see the huge drop-off, as you notice, starting in Q2 of 2020, with the issue that's, recovering from. But you see the dramatic drop-off. And you see that on a graph. You see again, Ontario and British Columbia kind of leading the way consistently. And then you see the massive drop-off. And you see it starting to come back in 2021 and 2022, but still a fraction of what it was in 2019. Next you see, and this is the way the tourism dollars are laid out, it's tourism dollars spent by United States citizens. And then you have tourist dollars spent by overseas, i.e. non-U.S. citizens or residents. And here it's kind of the same, you see Ontario is up there, you see British Columbia is up there, Quebec is third, and that's kind of consistent. If you go over to the graphs, again, you see Ontario, British Columbia, and you see a massive drop-off, with the situation, and it's still way, way below what it once was. Now you see spending from non-U.S. Here you actually see British Columbia being consistently slightly higher than Ontario, which I could see that. You could see more tourism from Asia, if they're going over to Vancouver and the west coast of Canada. And then again, you see the massive drop-off. one interesting thing for the three kind of northern territories, the Yukon, the Northwest Territories, none of it. There's no data reported starting with the start of the pandemic. Now, I have to think at least a few people, traveled to one of those territories. So I'm guessing this is a data reporting issue, and there weren't really zero tourist spending. I mean, someone had to go to White Horse ride and go up to none of it. But here you see, and like I say, here it's a little bit, see the massive difference. And again, it's British Columbia and Ontario. But you also see that Americans and, tourists from overseas kind of go to the same places, or the same provinces. Next we get into percent of spending, of the tourist spending that's from overseas. Now here, it kind of varies. Highs, can be up to 80%. There's a few places where it's below 20. Now, my theory on this is that the Yukon is a stop between Alaska and Washington State. So if U.S. citizens are moving to or from Alaska and they drive, they have to go through the Yukon and then British Columbia. So you could have a lot of tourist dollars from Americans spending a night in like White Horse, other places along the Yukon. Again, you see, 22, 37. And again, that would be the ideal driving weather. And you get as high as 83%. To the 80s. For tourist spending from overseas. Next, we have some population stats. So here, unsurprisingly, Ontario and Quebec have the highest populations. The territories having the least. And we have this through, Q1 of 2022. So that's this next table. I'm taking the total tourist dollars from this first table, and I'm dividing it by the population statistics from this table the population statistics from this table to get tourism spending per 1,000 Canadians. And I highlighted the max for the quarter in green and the smallest value or min value in red. Now then, you'll notice consistently the highest per 1,000 residents was the Yukon, and then the Northwest Territories. Would get it every now and then, but again, the Yukon would be like second. Except, let's say there's one kind of abnormal quota with Prince Edward Island, eclipsed both the territories. But again, the Yukon territory had the most, and I suspect that's from, like I say, Americans stopping and to and from moving to Alaska. But I don't know. If there are any Canadians listening, maybe you have a better idea of why that is. Now, in the red, it's consistently Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan consistently has the lowest tourist spending per 1,000 residents. Now, this all changes in Q2 of 2020. Like I say, due to the events. Like I said, we don't have data from the territories starting, with the Q2 of 2020. So from then, the highest spending per 1,000 people is British Columbia. So we have British Columbia consistently. And we got every now and then we get Prince Edward Island. Here, but it rotates between British Columbia and Prince Edward Island for the highest per 1,000 residents. And then the lows, it's like say Saskatchewan. You got a Manitoba here, there, Newfoundland and Labrador, and then what's this for? We got Quebec. Quebec had a low in Q4. It's kind of abnormal. So it is interesting how Saskatchewan has the lowest, and then the highest were the territories. Have to see if that data returns. Anyways, now on the way out, I want to wish everyone good luck going forward. If you have any suggestions for future topics, please leave a comment below. If you enjoyed the presentation, please feel free to like and subscribe. This is a Stats MR, wishing that your efforts are positively correlated with results. So long and farewell.